and jump up high, and then he'd wave goodbye. Frosty the snowman was a big round ball of snow, with a great big smile and two big blue eyes and a nose made from a bow. Frosty the snowman liked to play out in the snow. He would bend down low and jump up high, and then he'd wave goodbye. Frosty the snowman was a big round ball of snow, with a great big smile and two big blue eyes and a nose made from a bow. Frosty the snowman liked to play out in the snow. He would bend down low and jump up high, and then he'd wave goodbye. Frosty the snowman was a big round ball of snow, with a great big smile and two big blue eyes and a nose made from a bow. Frosty the snowman liked to play out in the snow. He would
Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle here with you, and I hope you enjoyed what was, I think I heard two things of music going. Why did they play that other one? Oh, I was supposed to be just like, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. I think I had two things going at the same time. Oy vey. Anyway, so we'll figure all that out later. I don't know what happened with that. So if you heard "Let It Snow," great. If you heard the ominous music, well, I don't know what's going on with that either. But everything else seems to be working, so that's good. So anyway, all right. Look, you're here because of one thing and one thing only, and that is, I actually have no idea why you're here. For one thing only. I hope you're here because of some snow, because that's what I'm here for. Let's put it that way. Now, I don't want to be presumptuous and just assume you're all here for snow, because I am. All right, let's get on with it, shall we? Thanks for watching, by the way. Please tell your friends and family about AT's weather. Let them know they have an alternate place to go and get their forecast that is free of any hype and unnecessary drama and just nonsense that you see on the news in this day and age. And I gotta warn you, social media, a lot of you follow self-proclaimed weather guys, and they'll post a lot of maps and they'll get you all excited, and you won't ever learn your lesson. So I'm not going to preach to you because it won't matter. It's like when the cat's out of the bag, the cat's out of the bag. There's no, what's the other expression? Whatever's out of the box, you can't put it back in. So it's done. The weather on social media is just going to be nuts from here on out, sharing all kinds of crazy images. So, especially when it comes to snow. So that, and also tornadoes. Those are two big, huge clickbait. Getting discussion points, and you'll fall for it every time. It's not your fault. It's your brain. You can just yell at your brain and say, stop paying attention to that stuff. But your brain's never going to listen to you. So I'm not going to tell your brain what to do. You can't tell your brain what to do. So I'm just going to move on. I'll just tell you what I can tell you when it comes to weather. And so I'm glad you're here for that. We'll give you a dose of some serious fun here tonight. All right. Here we go. This is the European forecast model for Sunday to Monday time span. And this is calling for the snow line to be down south of Norman through Shawnee. And the heavy stuff on the north side of town, finally, by the way. We've been getting left out in a lot of this action. Up here around Edmond, Piedmont, El Reno, that kind of deal. That's a blue shading of 3 inches. Then you got 5 inches in Weatherford, almost 5 inches in Stillwater, I mean, what in the world is going on? Now, if we expand this view, we've got tons of snow here from the I-44 corridor that stretches up into southern Missouri, back out here to the ski lovers, and back out here toward the Texas Panhandle. So a big chunk of snow with the storm system. Now, is this the way it's going to go down? That's why you're here, and I'm going to have the answer for that. So how did we get here? And do we trust this? Now, normally, the European model is solid. Normally. Now, last winter, they made some tweaks to make the model better. When they did that, it caused some problems in the snow forecasting, and it busted quite a few times. So my confidence in the European one, especially when it's out alone, isn't as high as it used to be because of the changes. I'll have to see how this winter goes because they've made a few more changes over the year, and then we'll see, how things finally materialize. Now, this is a look at if you factor in all the computer models together. This is the 500 millibar height field, which basically puts an area of higher heights or high pressure out in the western parts of the Rockies. And we've got an area of low pressure way up here into Canada. So in between the two, you get this nice cold pool of air that comes down. So we got the cold air favorable pattern. Now also here on this height field chart is these little lines that go like this that forms the trough. So we have the lift in the atmosphere is what this map is showing us. Now the other thing that the models all agree there's going to be a storm system to our west. So that's not the question. Okay. Here's a look at the 850 temperatures. In other words, how cold it will be is a few thousand feet off the ground. And you want to look for the freezing line, or of course colder to get snow. Well, believe it or not, this is the freezing line of the most warmest models. The other ones are down here in Texas. So they are agreeing that, hey, come Tuesday morning, of course the system will be over with by then, but it's a precursor to show you that, hey, it should be cold enough. If I go back one into Monday morning, a lot of the lines of the freezing point are down here into southeastern Oklahoma. So that means from the I-44 corridor, north and west, there does not seem to be any discrepancy that we're going to get cold enough to see snow out of this event. All right, so I want to get you up to speed on that. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is what is it actually is coming our way? Well, it is a trough low pressure, but it's also what we call an upper level disturbance or storm system. Has a lot of vorticity, in other words, spin and lift in the atmosphere. And this little trough right here, axis, will come east, and that generates the clouds and the precipitation. So that's what's happening in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Now, at the surface, we have cold air moving in, and this is actually the European model we're looking at for Monday morning. Monday morning, it's got the freezing line through McAllister, down toward Pauls Valley, south of Lawton, down toward the river, Wichita Falls. So in theory, everything along this little yellow line, it points to the north and west, should be kind of a mixed bag of precipitation. There's that iffy transition moment where you have a little bit of sleet, snow, freezing rain, maybe even all mixed into one very thin, narrow corridor. But it's plenty cold for snow everywhere else behind that line the further north you go. So that's what we have here for northwest Oklahoma. So not even a question in the model data. Now, when you look at 850 temperatures, this is Monday morning. 850 is that little warm nose of warm air that really will hose our forecast. And that's where meteorologists have to basically eat mud because, we're so gung-ho over some transition of snow. And then it turns to be all rain or it went back and forth. Well, it's the 850 temperature that always hoses us. And if you ask me, why does it hose you, Aaron? Because the computer models / the observations that we can actually get out of the atmosphere are not good enough. We need more sensors. My future prognostic would be drones to fill this in all over the place. They just go straight up a couple thousand feet, take temperature measurements, come all the way back down, and all that feeds into the model data, and boom, we can eliminate that 850 uncertainty. When will that happen? Well, when funding happens. When will funding happen? When you open up your wallets and you pay the government more money. That's kind of usually how that works. We'll see what happens. But meanwhile, the 850 line, the 0 degrees down here in southeast Oklahoma by Monday morning. But again, that's Monday morning. So that means by Sunday, when the transition starts to happen, there'll still be a little sweet spot here along the I-44 corridor and point south a little bit. We're getting a little bit mixed bag of precipitation, but plenty cold enough again in northwest Oklahoma. All right, so this is kind of how it looks once we factor in all that stuff into play. So this is heavily weighted on the European model. This is, for example, Sunday morning and a Sunday afternoon at lunchtime. So the blue represents the snow, and then the pink represents the little mixed bag that's starting to show up. So head into Sunday afternoon, you can see how it expands, gets a little heavier. We have that mixture of freezing rain, sleet, and snow here in Oklahoma City. Our transition from Sunday night starts to decrease on that winter mix south and east of town, but you can see the blue starts to pick up. That means heavier snowfall. And that heavier blue moves on over Monday morning, and then by Monday lunchtime, it's over Tulsa and exiting the state, and it's gone by Monday afternoon. So it is about a 24-hour system that we're going to be watching for this event. And as we said, the snowfall totals with that are, pretty decent. We'll go ahead and plot those again real quick here on this map. I pressed too many buttons. I got too excited. Let me get back over here. Come on, Oklahoma. All right, back to that map, and then we'll hit the the snowfall totals. And the overall is 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 inches here over a good chunk of the body of the state. Now we get into the question of, okay, you know what's coming, you know why it's happening. Question is the snow going to line up just right? Because always is the devil in the details. And we are today is Wednesday. We're talking about a Sunday, Monday time frame. So these snowfall totals, by the way, will change 1,000 times between now and then. Models don't run that often, but they're going to change. That's just kind of my point there. If we look at, this is a bigger picture of the nationwide, but the same model. And this is why I really love the Euro, but the Euro doesn't love itself. And you have to love yourself, folks. The computer models, they have to love themselves too. And this one is in a constant struggle with itself. So if I take this storm system, and we're just going to focus on a period of time Monday morning, and I want you to focus your eyes right here because that's where the action is, right? Now, I've told you before about ensembles. It's where you take the model and you just push it different directions. They do this about 50 times. And each time they do it, the model's output will change a bit. The idea is to get the majority of those little nudges to be centered under a bell curve where you get a good outcome. Is we're going to have that with the Euro. Well, here's panel 1, bone dry. Panel 2, hey, it's got the storm. 3, bone dry. 4, bone dry. 5, it's got some snow. 6, hey, here we go. 7, a little wimpy. 8, it's all east, but it's moving. 9, a little bit. 10, a little bit. 11, 12, bone dry. 12, 13, so you get the idea. Some of them, nothing over the state. Some of them in Kansas. A lot of it east, kind of focused into Missouri, eastern Oklahoma. As we head into time, keep going, not time, but the number of runs. And majority of them, I'd say 2/3, do have snow over Oklahoma. That's a good sign. The placement, the heavy stuff, that all differs just a little bit. And even when we talk about the amounts, this will show us the same idea, but amount-wise. You see how the amount, and here, let me help you out. I'm gonna highlight something for you. We're gonna look at this line right here, because I'm gonna go pretty fast. So when I go through each of these models, look where the cluster of snow is that actually adds up. You see a trend here, where you see the accumulating version of snow. And this is important, because this is where my forecast for you is gonna come into play as of tonight. And I don't expect to change my forecast as long as everything I'm seeing tonight stays the same, which I think it will at this point in the game, but it is winter weather. Okay, so what you should have taken home from all this was that the majority of the action is in this quadrant right here. Okay, so that means southeast Oklahoma, nothing. And the cutoff line is I-44. Now, if you take Oklahoma City by chance, and you take that model, like I said, you nudge it different ways. This is another look at that, but in a graph. So each of these numbers right here is a run, and you go to 50. Well, one run looks like it's got a 1 for 1 inch of snow. Here's one that's got 3 inches of snow for Oklahoma City. Woohoo! Here's one for nothing, the white. Here's one for 1/2 inch, 3 inches, not even an inch, not even an inch. But the good news is most of these, like we said, about 2/3, all have at least some snow. It just varies from a dusting to as much as, if you're excited about it, 3 inches of snow here in Oklahoma City. Other models will also have their ensembles. This is the American model. And we're just going to look at just one snapshot, all blended. We take all 50, we smash them down. And the take home from the American model is, sorry Oklahoma, this is a Kansas thing. Doesn't have nothing but a dusting here. So I-44 corridor, from there, at least it's got the leading edge right, but up into the border just has the dusting. If we take a look at the Canadian model, its ensembles, there's a panel of 16. The good news is, in most of these panels, it has, well, there's one. It's sort of two. Okay. No. Okay, come on, Canadian. Don't make a liar out of me. Let's go down here to this one. Okay, there's one. No. And there's one. All right, woo! 3 out of 16 say snow for Oklahoma, and right smack dab in the middle of the state. That's not a good heavy weighted outcome. So remember, that's Canadian X, that's the American X. Right now, only the Europeans all alone. Here's the actual run of the high resolution of the American model. It has all the snow here in Kansas. And that jives with its ensemble. And it's got to 9 inches in some places. That's pretty impressive. Now, we look at the UK Met, which is another European model. And I do like the UK Met during the winter. The take home here, it can't show us snow because they're very stingy with their data over there, by the way. More stingy than the European model is. So in other words, we don't get access to it. But we don't need that. We don't need that model. But what they will show us is a few of the basics. This has a precipitation cutoff along the 412 area up into Kansas. So it kind of hugs the Kansas-Oklahoma line. Now, that's not bad. That's better than the Canadian or the American model, the GFS. But it's not quite here in central Oklahoma. We've got a little bit of a dusting, looks like. It's got about 1/10 of an inch. So, like I said, we might get just under an inch, here in Oklahoma City and central Oklahoma with that kind of an outcome with the heavier stuff around the Kansas border. So that's the UK Met and the European. I want you to keep these two in mind. When we do look at the Canadian model, even though the ensembles didn't look very good, the actual run, the control run, in other words, the one run it uses as its template, has a majority of snow in Kansas, especially the heavy stuff. But very closely, like the UK Met, it does kind of hug the 412 area. All right, so there's 3 models that should have gotten your attention that we're talking. The bulk of the stuff is north of 44, a dusting down here in 44, and then the bulk of the heavier snows is now on the 412 corridor to the Kansas state line. So if you're following along, you're playing the game, that should start to kind of lead you into where I'm going with my forecast. Here's a look at the German model. At least it has the snow. It has a dusting to an inch, but you can also see its trend is in northwest Oklahoma. And that, my friends, I believe, was all that I had to show you. Let's see, was there nothing else? No. Okay. So, your take home, are we going to see snow? Highly likely, yes. The amounts are going to vary depending on where you live. Central Oklahoma, I-44 corridor, at least a dusting. That we can probably pretty much go with. Anything more than that is too early to call. If you live, I did want to show you one more thing. I take that back because I just about to say Woodward. And you're going to like, well, why are we talking about Woodward? Well, I'm going to tell you why about Woodward. Now, remember this little ensemble run for Oklahoma City? There's a lot of members here that painted snow, but most of them are in the pathetic range. I'm going to show you a non-pathetic ensemble so you can get the idea of what a real snowstorm looks like on an ensemble chart. Every run but 3, that's 47 runs of this European model says snow for Woodward. All right. Now, of all these lines, see all the deep purples and blues? That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. Matter of fact, here's one that goes 9 to 11. That's ridiculous. Point being is, your high probability when you forecast this kind of stuff, you go with kind of a consensus of ensembles where you're going to peg your highest amounts in your most confident area. So am I saying Woodward will get 9 inches? No way. You can see there's too much variance here in the output. It just says the potential is there, depending on the exact track of that low, to get some good stuff in northwest Oklahoma. So that's what I wanted to tell you. And that kind of leads to the other part of the forecast I was going to say, which is it looks like a done deal for northwest Oklahoma on the state line into southern Kansas. Now, how much further north in the body of Kansas still remain to be seen. And like I said, how much south past I-44, at least for the significant snow, is yet to be seen. But the least sweet spot for your forecast for snow, if you're a kid lover, snow lover, if you're a kid lover, hope the parents are kid loving. You want to go to northern and northwest Oklahoma to get the heavy stuff. So Tulsa, you're kind of like Oklahoma City. You're on that dividing line north of there from say Osage County to Ponca City. There'd be a lot more there than it would be in town. So that's what I got for you. So I hope that was both educational, informative, all that jazz. So let me take a look. I will now open the floor to your questions, comments, concerns, diatribes. If you want to yell at me like this, yell at me like that. Okay, so Jody, I hope you're ready. You're going to come to Oklahoma and experience a real snow event here where we get just a dusting, and it's a big deal. Kate, so you guys are having a Winnipeg discussion. All right, Jen wants some snow. I'm with you. There's a lot of snow lovers on here just scrolling through your comments. I really like that. Parents ready to do some work on I-40. Jody, is a dusting similar to a skiff? Actually, the way you guys describe a skiff, no, that would be Armageddon for us. That would shut the whole place down. So those of you folks that are saying, no, wait a minute, I live in Oklahoma City and I really want more snow than just a skiff or, our version of a dusting. It can still happen. It's just right now, as of today, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. A lot has to change, meaning that the track has to shift. We're talking probably, to be safe, let's go 100 miles south. And you're thinking, well, that's not a whole lot. Hey, when you're talking about snow, every freaking mile matters. It's ridiculous. So that answers Steve's question, is if it digs farther south. The problem is this system isn't a closed low that travels in, with a very potent core with it, which dumps a lot in one area. It's more of a prolonged open trough wave, and so those lows can dig better, is what I'm trying to say, versus a long wave trough that kind of scoots by. So the odds of it digging farther is pretty low. That's why, I'm a little more confident in the outcome so far of how things look versus just saying we'll wait and see. So that's what I got for you. Oh, you hear that beeping? You know what that means? My homemade yogurt is ready. Gonna have to go get me some. If you guys have never made yogurt, A, it's really easy, and B, it tastes really good. It tastes nothing like the stuff you buy in the store. But that's a good thing. It has a unique taste to it that once you take that first bite, your brain goes, wait a minute, this isn't yogurt. Then you take your second bite or third bite, you're like, hey, this is yogurt. And it's actually pretty darn good. You can mix in your own antibiotic stuff in there, and like your tablets, crush them up. So you can pick whatever kind of antibiotic stuff you want. And then, it's not antibiotics. Put your medicine in there. Oh, your probiotics. Oh, good grief. That was a Freudian slip. You can't just crush up your pills, put it in your food, and take it. Okay, Aaron. All right. I think that was it for me, folks. I did want to show you one more thing. And let me go over there, too, for you. My peeps in the... oh, come on now. Oh, boy. Let me refresh this. Okay. So I mentioned on my website, aarontotheweather.com, here I'm pressing the button so it'll stream. So I'm going to streaming myself. How's that work? Where's the mute? There we go. All right, but down here I have the top chat, and this comes from the YouTube channel. So if you're part of my YouTube channel, you can chat there, and you can also chat here. So I can say, hey guys, thanks for chatting, and then it'll populate here. And then if I show you my behind-the-scenes YouTube channel stuff, this is the interface I have for that. You can see here over on the right is my live chat as well, and that's where I can also type and say, hey, 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 and then I can talk that way as well. So it's kind of cool. A lot of you guys are on YouTube for this stuff. You even have what they call super chat, where you can actually tip the person that you're watching, which is really neat because a few of you have tipped me in that aspect, and I think that is awesome. So I don't know how it works, but somehow it just shows up, and I'm of course grateful for that. And make sure you tell your friends and family about me and what I do here. And I guess I'm going to quit clicking on stuff. My brain's just clicking, click, 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 click. And then let them know that I'll be getting a little bit more active on these broadcasts as we have more snow events to discuss. All right, well, that is it. I'm going to get out of here so I can start getting ready for bed. And I'm sure you guys are dying to go watch the news. Why, I don't know, but I'm sure you're just dying to do it. Because why not? I already preached to you about that. Go spend your 30 minutes doing something way more productive, way better. And that would be enhance your life, or your love life, or your kid's life. You know, you could take any of those three. All three of those would be a better decision than watching a bunch of nonsense on how to brush your teeth. Some things, if you don't know how to do in life and you've made it this far, you need to thank God. And if brushing your teeth is one of them, I don't know what to tell you. So, my advice would be use your time more wisely. Be more productive. You might even go try and clean the house or something. Maybe impress the wife and say, you know what, honey, I'm going to disappear for about 5 minutes. And you come back and bring her a glass of wine. You got a dish rag over your shoulder. And you say, hey, don't worry. I took care of everything tonight. Put the kids to bed. Tidied up the room in there. Got the kitchen cleaned up. I've already had myself a beer 5 minutes ago. Just chugged it. And I'm put on a little music for you. And we're going to go from 10:05 to 10:30 with some snuggle time. I'm just throwing that out there as an option. Now, if you're a kid watching right now, A, you should be close to being in bed. And B, you're too young to even understand any of that, so I'm not going to explain it to you. But your parents can someday. It's called romance. It's a lost art. Instead, most people sit in their beds with their phone, look over. And then they look over. It's messing. Look, I'm silly. I get out of here. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll talk again soon. Y'all be careful. Have a good night, and let's go snow. All right, bye.